am so excited to be here today with Candace Stafford from Norwood Elementary School in Baltimore County Public Schools. I got to meet Candace a couple months ago this summer when she and her team signed up to take our course, The Essential Guide for Student-Centered Coaching online, and I was their facilitator. So I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to chat with Candace to share a little bit with us about their journey as a school, and more specifically, their journey to really transform coaching and professional learning at Norwood. So welcome, Candace. Again, thanks for being here. And can you start off by just kind of telling us how this whole journey started out?
Sure. So it all started last summer. I met with my leadership team and we were talking about what professional learning we wanted to plan for the summer. I always view summer as an opportunity for sort of like regrowth, like where, looking back at the year, where are the areas that we can sort of strengthen our practice within our school. And my staff development teacher had read some articles that you and Diane had put out there about student-centered coaching. And she was really the one that geared the team or let the team know that student-centered coaching existed and exactly what it was. So she shared a little bit about it and I was intrigued, thinking about coaching as a partnership with teachers and focusing the work on achieving a student learning goal as opposed to focusing the work on the teacher and what the teacher needs to do in order to grow. So we decided to do a book study, and we had myself, my AP, my instructional coaches, and then we decided that it was really important for teacher buy-in and teacher excitement for this program to have teachers as part of that cohort over the summer. So we included a teacher from every grade level and from the special area team. And we met weekly for 8 weeks in collaboration with the course, the online course. And we did the work of the course, but then we came together every week to really dive into the chapter and talk about what the chapter was about.
What an amazing process. And like I said, I was so excited to get to be a part of it with you all. And one thing that really stood out to me when you all signed up was that fact that you did have teachers as part of the group. And at first I was kind of like, I hope this feels relevant to them. Can you just maybe tell us a little bit about how that experience went for them, not being coaches themselves, but, what they went through as part of that process?
I mean, I think for them, it really helped them see that coaching could be a partnership and it could be student-centered and sort of how that functions in that way. And they really felt a lot of ownership and power going into the year and moving into coaching cycles, knowing that it was a partnership and it wasn't about fixing teachers or that they're doing something wrong, that really every coaching cycle is different because every coaching cycle may have a different group of students or it may have a different goal identified. And it's not about a pre-prescribed list of here are the things that you as the teacher must do in order to be a highly effective or an effective teacher, but really focusing on who are the learners in my classroom and how do I use my knowledge and expertise in collaboration with the coach to really be responsive to the needs of the students that are sitting in front of me. And, when the year started, the teachers that participated in our coaching cohort over the summer, they were quick to sign up for coaching. And there was lots of other teachers as well that wanted to sign up. And that I think was partially attributed to having teachers on the team and those teachers talking with their colleagues about student-centered coaching and why it was so great. And they didn't wait until the beginning of the school year to do that. They were talking with their teammates over the summer about what they were learning in the course and why they were so excited and how they wanted to shift their grade level meetings and like things that they're working on within their team, like planning, long range planning, for each week, to really align with some of the practices in student-centered coaching, namely being looking at that student evidence and thinking about where are my students in relation to the learning goal, and what are the goals along the way that I need to support them in meeting in order to achieve that outcome at the end.
Wow. And so they, in some ways, it sounds like, became the biggest advocates for this new work that you were all going to be doing, and this shift in the way you were going to be kind of doing coaching, which is amazing, because sometimes that's the hardest hurdle, is to how do we shift the mindset and the beliefs that have been ingrained about coaching. So you had already a whole team kind of embedded in there with their fellow teachers doing some of that work. What were some of the other ways that you would say you kind of like marketed this at the beginning of the school year to help others understand this new way of doing things?
So part of the course, we had to create sort of like a launch. How would you launch student-centered coaching in your school? So each of us within the cohort created a student-centered coaching launch. Some people made iMovies, some people made Prezzies, others made PowerPoints, but made it really upbeat, because student-centered coaching is a very positive experience, and we wanted that to come across in the launch. So everyone made a different presentation, and then as a team, we decided which pieces of that we would use for the launch at the start of the year. And I introduced student-centered coaching to the staff, but I really wanted the coaches and the teachers to lead the presentation in partnership, because that's what student-centered coaching is it's a partnership. So that's what they did. And people were pumped up. Right after that presentation, we sent out just a Google Doc to find out who's interested, who wants to kick it off with this first cycle. And we delayed the start of the first cycle until the end of September, because as we all know, when you start a new school year, there's lots of like routines and things that you want to get in place, and teachers need time to do that. And we wanted our instructional coaches that first month to really just provide that informal support that teachers may need getting the year up and running, and be able to have that time in their schedule and the flexibility to provide support as needed. So the Google Doc, teachers were able to indicate whether they were interested in that first cycle or if they wanted to possibly wait until the next cycle. They were able to identify what subject area they may want to have a cycle start with. So that's how we knew who wanted to do it this first round. But then we made sure along the way throughout the year to provide opportunity for our teachers that were participating in cycles to share their experiences with their colleagues. So they did that through grade level meetings and through faculty meetings or staff-wide professional development. And that was more of like an informal, marketing approach to student-centered coaching. But we didn't necessarily have to schedule that. They were doing that anyway. And their teammates were seeing the results of student-centered coaching in our grade level meetings when we would talk about data, because many times the teacher that was participating in that student-centered coaching cycle had data that was a level above maybe what the rest of the grade level team had. And I think that's really attributed to the partnership with the coach and really focusing in on that student-centered goal and identifying pathways to help all students achieve high outcomes.
Wow. So that really, you hit on a couple of really important things there. One, just how the marketing kind of has carried through and just in many ways just organically still happening with celebrations, which we know are such a big part of this work, but also kind of that the work has spoken for itself, that as these teachers are having success, and more importantly, the students are experiencing this growth, that word has, it seems like, started to spread. So, which is wonderful, and hats off to all of you. So tell us kind of, where has it gone? Like, what has this year been like as you've really, gone wholeheartedly into this work of student-centered coaching?
Well, so as around the country, this year has been a very interesting year with lots of challenges that have presented themselves due to the pandemic. So there was a couple things that we had to tweak along the way. One of those being the coaching moves and really thinking about like which moves make sense for this virtual environment. And, you know, now we're in a hybrid environment. So that took a little bit of like work and practice and really analyzing, and something that we did along the way to help the cohort stay strong and keep student-centered coaching at the forefront of our practices this year was we set up regular times during the year to meet as a cohort team and to analyze how is it going and are there tweaks that need to be made. So we met for each cycle, we met mid-cycle, and that mid-cycle meeting was really focused on, you know, how is everything going, but more specifically, like what are the obstacles that are coming up? What are practices that as a coach or as a teacher participating in a cycle that you might have employed that have really been beneficial to student learning? And it was just an opportunity for everyone to come together and think about how is everything going? Are we staying true to what student-centered coaching is? And what are we doing for the next half of this cycle? Are there any, you know, different paths that need to be taken or, you know, detours that we should take to help stay true to the ultimate goal of student learning? And then we also met at the end of every cycle to review data using the results-based coaching tool and to plan for next steps for the next cycle. And along the way, I've always asked my teachers and my coaches to be aware of like, and be jotting down specifically, what are those things that are coming up that we really want to look at this summer as we plan for next year? And one of those things was this year, my coaches feel like in their partnerships, they haven't taken as much of a holistic approach to looking at student evidence in the sense of really like looking at the assessments and sorting them. And that sort of came about as a result of this hybrid and virtual environment. All of the student work is online, and it's much more difficult to look at it and sort it into piles when it's online in the format that it is. So they've really been, what they did do is they're looking at like individual student scores as opposed to really looking at what's the overall student work say in regard to the standard. So that's something we want to revisit this summer and make sure that we're incorporating more next year. And then another thing that has sort of come up from all of this is thinking about partnerships with other schools. So there's other schools in Baltimore County that have heard about student-centered coaching through some of the work that you and Diane have done with our organizational development office, and our staff development teachers have gotten some professional learning around student-centered coaching this year. So I've had other principals reach out wanting to know if we could do some kind of partnership next year with our instructional coaching teams to work together in student-centered coaching and maybe do some like cross-school visits and some PD throughout the year. So that's pretty exciting as well.
Wow, I don't even know where to begin with all that. So much great news that you just shared on so many levels. Really compelling to hear that while I know you meet regularly with just the coaches, but this idea of the cohort continuing to meet regularly, you know, obviously less frequently, but in the middle of cycles and at the end of cycles really speaks to the power of, you know, we're never done. We're always still learning, and we constantly need to be revisiting. Are we where we want to be? Are we staying on track? Which is so vital. And how exciting that it's spreading beyond Norwood, and that is growing as well. And so many neat opportunities there. So if you were kind of summing up, you know, how has this been? What's the evidence that you've shared a lot of, you know, celebrations already, but, you know, what's the feel at Norwood compared to, you know, this time last year as far as professional learning and coaching goes?
I have never worked with teachers who are so excited to work with coaches. You always have those teachers in your building that are like, give me more, teach me more, work with me more, give me more feedback. But then you also have people in your building who maybe don't share that same viewpoint with working with a coach, and they feel like it's a sign that maybe you're not doing as well as you could be doing, or that you need help. And that has not been the case at all this entire year. Like I shared in the article, 82% of our classroom teachers have voluntarily and willingly participated in a cycle. And we've had multiple teachers who have participated that have participated more than once. I think the most at this time right now is 3. I have one teacher who's done 3 cycles because she can't get enough, and she feels like it is really impacting her practice for her students in a very positive way. So that's been wonderful to feel in the building, that teachers can't get enough of student-centered coaching because they see how it impacts their students. And that's something that I haven't experienced before in a building overall. So that's been really wonderful.
Absolutely amazing. And I think too, you're building collective efficacy at Norwood, which we know has a greater effect size than anything else we can do. So just that it's kind of this all-in team effort, and the energy and the belief that together we can is incredible, and certainly seems like it's just permeating through the school and really paying off in a lot of different ways.
Well, and even my teachers, especially my teachers who participated over the summer, some of my teacher leaders in their grade level planning sessions, they're taking the lead and taking a student-centered approach. Whereas before, sometimes they'd be looking at a unit and they would divide up. Okay, you take the first lesson, you take the second, you take the third, you take the fourth. Everybody plan the lesson and then we'll share it together. Whereas now, instead of doing that, after they've looked at the standards that the unit is working towards, and what's the post-assessment, what do kids have to be able to do by the end of this unit, instead of this divide approach, they're looking at larger pieces. So like the larger learning goal, and breaking down together as a team, how are we going to support our students in achieving this learning goal, and really working together to identify best practices for that specific learning goal and standard that will support student learning. And that's a really good feeling, to be sitting in a room with teachers and see that level of collaboration happening, and then seeing it play out in their classrooms with adjustments for their specific group of students. So it's not a one size fits all, and student-centered coaching does a really nice job of approaching that sort of idea of one size doesn't fit all in a way that's positive and promotes teacher growth.
Yeah, and I think what the example you just shared, it speaks to exactly that it's not just here's what you do when you're in a coaching cycle with your coach by your side, but this is just good teaching. And the fact that the practices that they're experiencing in coaching cycles, and that some of them learned through the work with the cohort, is transferring into now how they operate within their teams and within their classrooms, is the biggest success of all, right? Because that doesn't just mean more achievement during that coaching cycle. It means better teaching every day, all year long. And that's really what we're going for.
Yeah. And even for the teachers that haven't participated in a formal cycle, they're participating in that collaboration at their grade level. So they're getting exposed to it and seeing how it is beneficial to students. And hopefully they'll choose to participate in a cycle at the end of this year or next year.
Something tells me that's going to be very doable at Norwood. Yes. So Candace, I cannot thank you enough, but in addition to thanking you for taking the time for this chat, I also just really want to congratulate you and your staff. What an amazing success story. What an amazing transformation. And it really came from your leadership and your willingness to put together this group and put in the time and to keep putting in the time and continually thinking about where we are and what we need to do next. And I think it speaks volumes to your leadership and your vision for Norwood. And I know it just must be a really special place to work. So congratulations to all of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Norwood is a wonderful place, and all of us are really proud of student-centered coaching and the work that we've done collectively as a team and all the hard work of our teachers this year. It's been an outstanding experience and one that we intend to keep going with.
All right. Well, best of luck. I personally can't wait to keep hearing about all of the successes, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much, Leanna.